Juneteenth, also called Freedom Day, marks the day that the last slaves in America were told they were free, 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation was signed in the midst of the Civil War, ending 246 years of slavery in the United States.
On June 19th, 1865, General Gordon Granger, who was a Union Army general, who was responsible for the district, the Emancipation District, including Texas, landed in Galveston, Texas, Galveston Bay, and read a proclamation declaring that from that moment, enslaved Africans were free.
Juneteenth is a state or ceremonial holiday in 47 states and the District of Columbia. In past years, the holiday has been observed as a time to reflect on the legacy of slavery and the history of African Americans, a summer tradition with music and parades.
It's a coming together on this day, and the elders in the family pass on stories to the young, and they pass on our family histories, history of African Americans, just sort of the legacy of the African American experience through family stories.
But this year, protests against police brutality, specifically against African Americans, have put race relations at the forefront of many discussions across the country. Strikes and continued protests are expected around the country on June 19th, many of them calling for action, including defunding police departments and reinvesting that money in community building and education.
I think it's a national call to action. I think everyone's trying to organize in some capacity. I think the tension right now is trying to balance it between being a celebration, right, and a demonstration, right, like how to give space for Black joy as well as a form of resistance.
For Jordan and other activists, Juneteenth is a reminder of how much still needs to be done in the fight for racial justice.
When I look at the history, right, of the fact that it's 2.5 years later, right, after the Emancipation Proclamation was passed, that to me is a testament to how justice and freedom even work in this country, right? Like, it took 2.5 years for the last person to find out that they were only technically freed, right? Because they weren't substantively or in practice.
This year, as conversations about racial inequality and police abuse continue nationally and locally, a number of American corporations, including Google, Target, Nike, Twitter, and Square, have declared Juneteenth a company holiday.
Millions of people taken from one continent to another and forced to build basically the modern world system. You can't repair that completely. But what you can do is not only acknowledge it, but try to create a society where the descendants of those people are restored.
And activists plan to use the holiday to continue to push for creating such a society. Isha Sarai, VOA News, Washington.